Hi everybody, I'm Samantha Allinger with FedScoop TV, and I'm here at the 2016 Red Hat Government Symposium. I'm talking here with Cameron Chehreh, Federal CTO for Dell. Cameron, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having us.
So my first question for you is kind of looking back over this administration. What progress do you think this administration has really made in open source, and where do you think it's going in the future?
Sure. This administration, and along with the support of the U.S. CIO Tony Scott, really has made some significant strides, not only with open source, but with cost containment and also capability expansion. When you look at a lot of the legislation that they've pushed for FITARA, for IT modernization, and the ability to be able to move to cloud, open source has become a really key component of those strategies to be able to reduce cost and also increase mission capability. So what I would say to you is this administration and this leadership team across the federal government today has really made significant strides moving forward. So it's really been a pleasure to see.
Awesome. And turning a little bit to an issue that maybe might sound unexpected when we talk about open source, cybersecurity. It's a huge concern for federal agencies. How can industry actually use open source to really promote security?
It's a great question. When you look at open source, you have the ability to be able to look at the source code. So being able to look for bugs or defects or any type of nefarious behavior becomes much easier. I think it's really built into the processes that we talk about when we integrate open source software or bring it through our normal DevOps cycle, or if we follow traditional waterfall development cycles. The real advantage of open source is giving us the visibility and the depth into the code itself to be able to look for those types of vulnerabilities and fix them prior to deployment. So from a security perspective, it really is a great opportunity to leverage open source in that capacity.
Awesome. And turning to something very related, intimately related with cybersecurity, IT modernization. So it's been a huge subject this past year. Legislation's making its way through Congress. It's been a big focus of US CIO Tony Scott. As agencies look to modernize their systems in the future, how can open source benefit them or facilitate that?
It's a great question. You know, it always starts with modernizing an infrastructure that can accommodate open source rapidly. The real key to modernization at this point is agility. And when you look at the open source community and the contributions of open source software into the community itself and then into a capability set within the enterprise, the speed and agility by which the community does that is vital for modernization. People don't like to talk about it often, but sometimes it's better to fail fast and succeed faster, and failure is just as good as success. So being able to use open source and articulate a better infrastructure, better architecture and capability, and be able to do that with the rapid way that you can implement open source and create that agility, I think has been fantastic.
Awesome. And when we're talking about kind of really leveraging the open source movement, what other areas, collaboration, mobility, speed, maybe for example, could help benefit the open source movement?
So collaboration is definitely a very good low-hanging fruit. And when you look at agencies today, and the vision of Tony Scott is we're looking for collaboration on common capabilities across government. So things like collaboration, payment, financials, those types of things that are common capabilities across all agencies are great opportunities for open source software and open source movement for the infrastructure. Looking at those common capabilities, you now can create common services from that so that governments now can consume those services more rapidly and then be able to redirect their focus into the mission areas. Mobility is another great example that you've mentioned. When we look at the mission environments today, even in civilian government, whether it's civilian DoD or the intelligence community, everyone's mobile. You want to be out in your constituent base. You want to be driving your missions out to where it matters the most. So mobility is a fundamental, vital piece of that as well.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. Thanks
Great.
for joining us.
Thank you for the time.
And thanks for watching. I'm Samantha Allinger with FedScoop TV.